More than anything else, I have so many positive feelings and thoughts about what these pictures represent. They consistently reminded us that it was the one thing that kept them many times from getting in trouble in a joint. This fellow's name is John Serwatka. He probably spent more of his own personal time while we were there talking to the kids about their lifestyles and his lifestyle and what mistakes he made to get in there.
Nowhere did Showtimers connect with inmates as closely as they did at Indiana State Prison. Over the years, a select group of honor inmates developed close ties with Burnsville students. Every summer for 14 years, Tom Mraz and his kids included ISP on their cross-country tours of prisons. Theirs was the only high school group of its kind allowed to perform in federal penitentiaries. Last summer, Tom returned to ISP alone, accompanied only by a videotape. It was the final testament to the genius of Showtime. After all the anticipation and longing, Tom embraced old friends.
How are you? Good to see you. Boy, oh boy.
You're looking good.
Thank you, thank you.
Great.
You
Man.
just look wonderful.
They called themselves Tom's roadies.
Hey, guy.
Pretty good.
Good seeing you, Tom. Oh,
How you
boy,
feeling?
you're good to see.
How you feeling?
Well, I'm getting along.
Good, good, good.
How you doing?
Great.
Son of a gun, good to see you. Good to see you. Daggone, good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
How you doing?
Oh, man.
You look wonderful.
I wasn't doing too that great until I saw you.
Well, you just look super. You look great. Yeah. Hey, my boy.
How you doing, man?
How you doing?
You look good.
Son of a gun, you look
good.
super.
Oh, man, you look super.
Hey, Robert, you look wonderful. Good to see you. This is a special day for me because I've been waiting to see you guys ever since last time we were here.
Well, you know, Showtime's what kept me going, what keeps me going in here. Is knowing I'm going to work with you and be around these kids every year, and that's the most important thing in my life.
Even inside prison walls, there was hope. To inmates, many of whom were serving life sentences, Tom Mraz was a miracle worker, a man who brought joy where before there was none.
Whose idea was this? Kathy's or yours?
This one's mine.
That's a great one.
Everybody respects Tom. You know, Tom is like a father figure. He's a great man. He's something special. He's like a gift from God.
In this room were men who might never be free again. Their crimes were that heinous. Rick Parrish was serving 3 concurrent life sentences for kidnapping. Pat Fine drew 45 years for murder. Robert Horace killed a drug dealer during a robbery and was sentenced to life. And Chris Hedrick was a short-timer. 8 years remain on a conviction for manslaughter. On the outside, they were defiant and angry. For them, childhood should have been a season of dreams, but instead, childhood was filled with nightmares. Chris Hedrick was physically abused by his father until his 17th birthday. So is it any wonder that Tom Mraz represents something in short supply here, a hero.
I've never met a person that is as giving as Tom was. You know, in my life, I've never really had a father figure, and I would say that Tom is probably that in my life.
No matter what I could ever do or could ever say, you know, I could never thank or replace or make up for the things that he has, you know, instilled and shown me. And nothing's going to ever replace that. Nothing. Ever.
Every year on crisp fall nights, they celebrate a tradition in Burnsville. Somewhere else, an august body of men decided the local football team was among the state's best. But there was another tradition alive here, one that you must listen for to know.
1st and 10 Burnsville from their own 30-yard line.
Way up in the press box,
Tony Delgado carrying the ball for Burnsville, brought down by Ryan Geist.
it was the voice. That's the tradition I'm talking about.
Braves have the ball on the 37-yard line of Osseo.
In retirement, he had ached for something familiar.
The penalty is against Osseo.
Through the summer, he had struggled with depression. Some days he just sat and stared. So when the football coach asked him to return to the microphone, Tom Mraz rejoiced.
I have established a very significant interest in the football team and the football players. And it's a thrill for me to be able to come back, even though I am unable to teach. I enjoy very much the opportunity to come back to the ball game. Bob Keeney, touchdown, Burnsville.
For people to hear the voice, and for kids to hear the voice that are now young adults, and maybe have their own children sitting in these stands, you know, that's the man. That's the guy I was talking about. Remember when I told you about this guy? That's him. See him up there? That's his voice. Well, Daddy sounds fine. He is. He's okay.
Some days it seemed to Tom there was no stopping the clock and the inexorable process of Parkinson's disease. It's a progressive neurological disorder that leaves its victims shaking and eventually too debilitated to physically function. That's why it was important to Tom that he share these precious moments with his sons, Mike, Mark, and Monty. The Mraz Brothers Band was playing a wedding reception when an old showman joined in.
This is a big traumatic thing in his life. It's time for somebody to say, okay, it's done, it's over, and say, hey, you're still walking around, you're still blinking, you wake up every morning. Let's be productive. This is what you have, not what you've lost.
This plaque and the dedication reads, whereas Thomas B. Mraz contributed to the design, construction,
much has been written about legends. Pitch a shutout ball game, it's legendary. Make a killing on junk bonds, another legend. Real legends, though, the people we remember long after the newspaper is discarded, build slowly, year after year. They honored just such a man at Burnsville High School. There was a plaque to tell the story of Tom Mraz.
Whereas Thomas B. Mraz believed in his students and instilled in them his dedication to excellence in the performing arts.
As perhaps you have noticed, this is a difficult time for me. I'm filled with regret that I am unable to continue to work with all of these wonderful people. I thank you for the memories. I thank you for this tribute. I thank you from the deepest part of my heart. You have made my life one of great personal satisfaction. Believe me, please, when I say I will always be extremely proud to say that I spent my professional life at Burnsville Senior High School. Thank you all.